But it says, because I am the Lord your God, you shall not consecrate, you shall therefore consecrate yourselves, and you shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall you defile yourselves with any creeping thing that creeps on the earth. For I am the Lord who brings you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. You shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. He's teaching rudimentary elements of his holiness and their sinfulness. And then he just said, this is the law, the animals, birds, every living thing that moves in the waters, every creature that creeps on the earth, to distinguish between unclean and clean, between the animal that may be eaten, animal that may not be eaten. God was establishing a mindset of holiness for his chosen people, as well as developing a consciousness among them that they were to see themselves as separate. They're set apart from among all other nations around them. Or as we're told in the New Testament, do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness? What communion has light with darkness? 2 Corinthians 6:14. We as believers are to live separate lives, not just hang out with the world and fellowship. And what fellowship do you even have with the world? You ask people who, this is where you're finding all your free time. You know, that's not what we're to be doing. We're to be living separate lives. Granted, yes, we're to be witnessing to people and sharing the gospel with people to bring them to Christ, not hanging out and them bringing us back into the world. God was developing that mindset first among his people all the way back under the law. The Israelites were to see themselves as separate from all the other nations around them, not just because, we don't eat certain bugs and pork chops and camels, but because we view everything in this world in terms of what is pleasing to God and what isn't. This is how we view everything. That becomes vitally important to understand when these restrictions are dropped at the coming of the Messiah. And a sheet comes down and Jesus says, eat all of the unclean animals. And Peter's like, what are you talking about? Obviously, this is spiritual and not physical. And the instituting in the new covenant. Otherwise, if you hold on to it, you end up with the persecution that Jesus and his followers came under by the hand of Pharisees and scribes to the point of killing them.